How's it going, people? Welcome back to another new video and thank you for tuning in again. So you guys know that I use GoPro a lot. It does a great job when I film the vlog in mountains in a car. Maybe some of you too. So today let me introduce you guys some accessories that can make GoPro footage more better, which is Sandmarc Motion Variable ND Filter, sponsored by Sandmarc. So Sandmarc makes great camera gear such as iPhone lenses and filters and lights and camera filters and GoPro gears. You can create next level content with those gears. Just go to their website. You can check a lot of gears, also example footages using those gears are amazing. So today what I'm going to talk about is this motion variable ND filter for GoPro Hero9 Black. So basically it's a ND8 to 64 filter with a little bit of motion blur effect. But I'm going to deep dive into those features one by one, focused on build quality and ND function and motion blur effect. So stick with me for a while. Okay, first build quality. So first thing I notice is this aluminum feel of this frame. It's very solid and it's making a luxury feel, which I always like. And the size is not too big and not too small. When it's on GoPro, it totally fits, and the weight is, I think it's light, even though it's aluminum, hard and solid frame. It can attach to GoPro very easily. Actually, you just push it. The rubber inside of this holds GoPro. Well, it attaches so easy and so fast, but it won't take off that easy. When you hold the filter and shake it, it doesn't take off. It's not officially said that way, so don't try it, but as I do, it doesn't fall off. It takes off when you try to do so. And there is a mark and numbers ND8, 16, 32 and 64. So basically it has 4 stops, but you can stop wherever you want. So about this range between each stop, like there is a long range between 8 and 16, but it's really short among 16, 32, 64. I wish I had more like a long distance among them so that I can do a fine adjustment. But from different perspective, when it's on GoPro, it's easy to adjust. So this also can be considered as a good point, but to me personally, I want more distance. And there are 2 favorite things about this ring. One of them is heavy, like it has good amount of heaviness on this ring. It's not light and easy going, so even if anything touch it, it doesn't move from a position you made. But when you use your fingers and try to move it, it turns very smoothly and naturally. This is absolutely well made. And another favorite thing is this zigzag, like sharp edges. When my fingers touch it, they stick with those edges. It allows fingers not to slip. Those edges are holding them so tight, so you can stop wherever you want precisely. So good. And the glass, it looks pretty clean. So on the website it says true to life colors and accurately adjusting exposure and avoiding cross vignetting, commonly seen in other variable ND filters. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. And moving on to ND function. Okay, so this variable ND function is the biggest thing of this filter. We can decide exposure manually with this ND filter. This is huge. For example, with auto shutter speed, when you go from a bright place to dark place and opposite of that, the shutter speed changes automatically. So there is a weird exposure change in a scene. It's not only weird, it makes color grading a little bit complicated because there will be some exposures in a one scene. So in this case, in a dark place, the face gets brighter, but when I am in the bright place, the exposure shifted to the sky, which makes the face darker. I don't want this kind of exposure shifting, changing. So with that ND and using GoPro manually and changes the exposure scene by scene, come on, that's a joke. No one want to do that. But with ND filter and shutter speed 1/60 and ISO 100, and I can find a reasonable exposure point between the sky, which is bright area, and the face. And through a scene, the exposure doesn't change. And at some point, if I want to make it brighter or darker, I can fix it by only turning the ring. It's so easy and fast, plus you can have the control of light. So now you get the idea why controlling the exposure manually is important. Well, next I want you to watch the difference between each stop and with and without ND filter. So now what you're seeing right now is without ND filter and it's fixed shutter speed 1/60 ISO 100, too bright. Yeah. And if I put ND on it, it reduced the harsh highlight and brought the detail back. Like I said, you can control it by ring easily. Basically, it's like a sunglass. This is how it works. So now I'm gonna show you how each stop changes the scene. The camera setting is the same. So this is ND 8 in 16 and 32, 64. And this is from 8 to 64 gradual change. So as you can see, this ND filter can reduce the GoPro harsh highlight, but the shadow won't be dark that much. And so far, I didn't feel the lack of sharpness. I think it doesn't lose it. Also colors too. Well, at the other day when I tried this product, when I put it on GoPro, it slightly gained the orange, but not a lot, just a little bit. So sometimes in a certain situation, the color might change, but overall, I can say the quality of this glass is amazing. The depiction keeps the original quality. But one thing I have to mention is when I used wide mode and photo with this ND filter, there are part of frame in corners, but not for video. Well, I don't mind about this, but some people do. So I thought this was where the brand should work on. So another feature of this product is that you can get a little bit of motion blur effect. I mounted the GoPro with ND on a car and I tested how much I can get motion blur effect. So this is without ND, just normal driving car, footage. And this is with ND. Well, what do you think? To me, there is slightly motion blur, like the way signs above pass by. When with ND, they were blurred, and trees kind of had motion blur when they passed by. But I guess this amount of motion blur effect is just fine because I want to use this as an ND filter, not like motion blur effect. So this amount is okay. GoPro footage is kind of stiff, like the image is contrasty and sharp, and also the motion is kind of sharp too. So this motion blur effect makes this GoPro footage kind of softer and gentle, like it's flowing. I think this is good to have, especially for the person who is like me. I use GoPro on the car to get the driving footage a lot. So when I do that, this motion blur effect is kind of useful. Okay, so conclusion is if you use GoPro a lot, like vlogging like me, this is totally useful and it can make your GoPro filmmaking next level. But if you do like a surfing or hard climbing, I'm not gonna recommend this to you. Well, there is a still possibility that falls off and crashes to the ground or whatever. Like I showed you, it doesn't take off that easy, but still kind of worried because I use GoPro very hard, like hiking and walking in woods and branches, and a lot of things is hitting me. And I put my GoPro here at the camera back like this and doing like this. My GoPro has many scratches, so probably I won't use for some hard activity. The filter might fall off when something hit it. But other than that kind of situation, like when I vlog, I think I'm gonna keep using this. Using GoPro manually is totally different from using it automatically, and the quality, the depiction is good. It doesn't change from the original. This motion variable ND filter, it takes your creation to the next level, but before that, your brain is more important. Okay, this is it. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, don't hesitate to leave the comment below. So today's topic is very much it, and thank you for watching this video. If you like this one, show me a thumb and hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. さあ、というわけで、ここから、30秒いきますよ。3、2、1、スタート。さあ、というわけで、いざやれって言われて何喋ろうかなっていう。はい、5秒。やばいよ。なんだろう。あ、これね。よかった。今までは、ただのこう、ドキュメンタリーとして残すために使ってた GoPro だけど、これがあるだけで全然質が変わる。だから本当に使っていこうと思ってます。ギアーズ。今月やろうと思ってます。3、2、1、じゃ。OK。